most of your friends have passed away. That's not the subject.
A lot of the ones from high school that I used to hang around with did.
Anyhow, we're gonna try to delve right into our topic this week.
Hey, here we go. How you doing?
Last week's episode was pretty deep. This week we're gonna go fluffy topics.
I was thinking about what types of things you enjoyed doing in your youth.
Well,
as a young kid.
That's good work because we're gonna be talking about my high school reunion.
Yeah.
And I'm Tom, and you are
Jack.
And this is what to do with your old explicit content, formerly known as what to do with your old
porn,
which we don't say porn on this podcast anymore.
That is interestingly brought up some. Yeah, that was kind of funny that we couldn't say porn on the internet.
We could say porn on the podcast, but we can't have porn in the title.
Yeah, figure that one out, folks.
Well, I don't think it's too hard to figure out because when people look for porn, they're not looking for two 50-year-old plus guys talking about life.
It did work out pretty good to the advantage of the fact that I've had people come up to me and ask me advice on how to manage their struggles with it and stuff like that, which was nice.
That's good.
Just by the fact that we never really talked about it, what to do with it, or so much as the fact that the title indicates that. It's
a question.
It's
a conundrum or a topical question that is along the lines of whatever topic we come up with.
Right, pretty much.
Which today, speaking of porn, who didn't own a porn magazine when they were in high school?
Trying to think. I think the best I could pull off was going to my friend's house down. Now, actually, this was when I was much younger. Going to my friend's house down the road for the Sears catalogs.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Sears catalogs and the chicken coops.
Yeah, that was Amazon before Amazon in print form.
Yeah.
The catalogs. So I got a 40th high school reunion coming up, and it's
wow.
I know, but see, I'm very conflicted because it's Brighton High School. Brighton's a suburb outside of Rochester, New York, and I went to Brighton from my kindergarten through 9th grade, and then in 10th grade I transferred to the city school district, and then I dropped out by 11th grade. I used to say 10th grade, but Tracy, my wife, corrected me at a game yesterday. She's like, well, if we were both supposed to graduate in 1984 and you dropped out when I'm like, oh, geez. I just felt like it sounded better to say I only had a 9th grade education. But I don't think I had enough credits to actually go into 11th grade, whatever the case. So the Brighton people, these were all people that I grew up with. I actually went to my 20th high school reunion, and I had a good time. I was the DJ because I was still a mobile disc jockey at the time, and my son Thom came with me, and it was kind of neat seeing everybody. But I'm really conflicted over this one. Oh, and then 10 years ago, I was supposed to go, but I was in a parade because I was executive director for the YMCA in Medina for 20 minutes.
And you would have much rather gone to the reunion.
Yeah, that could be a whole episode, the YMCA in Medina. Like, the things I can legally talk about that situation, which would be a 2-minute episode. But, so I didn't go. So it'd be 20 years since I've seen a lot of these people. And I looked at the names, and I'm like, man, there's a couple of people that I'd like to see. But I'm going to be real brutally honest with you, Jack. I feel like I'm too fat to go to my high school reunion. I honestly do. Yeah. I feel like I'm too fat to go to my high school reunion.
Anybody would think that of you has got a little introspection to work on themselves.
Dude, it's been the biggest stumbling block, like in terms of me.
You're one of the most beautiful. You're one of the most beautiful personalities I know, and I mean that from my heart.
But high school, I was. Somebody actually said this. It was Donna Lemke, who I used to date. I know Donna Lemke's not going to listen to this podcast, and if she does, you finally.
I'll give her $50.
Give her $50. So Donna.
We're starting a new program now. Anybody that listens to the podcast, I will pay $50.
Yeah. If we mention
disclosure,
your name,
I'm lying.
Yeah, Benny, you don't get $50 because we're pretty sure you listen to every episode. But so Donna Lemke, I was at this. Oh my God, this actually leads into one of the more bizarre stories of my life. So I ran into an old high school friend, and she was having a benefit for her husband, and at this benefit, her husband was diagnosed with cancer. So my band played there, and I ran into this old girlfriend, Donna Lemke. And then my friend Judy came to me later, and she said that Donna said to her, she goes, Donna said, oh, is that Thom Jennings? Wow, he used to be really cute when he was young. What happened?
Don't you love when people do stuff like that? I'm like,
It's horrible.
well, I know, but the fact that the person would say it is one thing, but they probably said it thinking in confidence, but then the other person comes to you and tells you.
Why would you?
Which is like
yeah.
10 times worse than the person saying it in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There's that Thom Jennings guy. Boy, he used to be cute. Look at that. Look at that fat turd. Look at that fat bald turd.
Yeah, I was. I had my 55th birthday, and I posted those couple pictures of like when I was, I don't know, like maybe 10, 11 years old, and another one when I was 17 in high school, and I'm like, man, that guy was a doof. The one in high school.
I was a good-looking dude in high school. I was,
I thought I was a good-looking dude in high school. That's the problem.
Maybe I just thought I was. Although Donald Lemke evidently thought I was. Well, the weird thing too is Judy's last name. I don't know. She's in Holly, so I don't necessarily want to say it, so I won't. But anyhow, I knew Judy's maiden name because she had been married, and she was divorced, and this was her second husband, and then the husband took her last name, which I thought was weird, and I didn't understand it.
Was his original name like somehow deemed offensive or something?
You, sir, are a genius. Yeah, there was a thing in Orleans County with some either construction company or something like that with these guys that stole like these giant pieces of construction machinery and buried them.
Yeah.
And the police wound up like flying over the site and found it all and everything. I mean, it was like millions of dollars worth of stolen construction equipment. Evidently, they couldn't bury it quick enough for the feds not to find it via air. So the guy was in serious legal trouble.
So rather than getting out of legal trouble, he just changed his name to his wife's name?
He changed his last name to his wife's name so nobody would figure out who the heck he was. And I can't even remember how I found out. She might have told me that was him, and that's why. Because I think I'm not particularly shy when it comes to asking people things like, well, why the hell did your husband take your last name,
Yeah.
And there was a guy I worked with that did the same thing, and like his parents, he was adopted, so he just had no real attachment towards his own last name. So he took his wife's because it felt more like theirs. And then actually my brother-in-law and sister, their daughter, she and her husband came up with their own last name. Like it's not hers or his.
That's interesting.
Yeah, see, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
But yes, that was the case. That was Judy.
I can't even figure out what to name my dog.
I don't know, but your dog...
I mean, we call our dog Puppy because Zoe picked his name and called him Benji, which I thought was a little cliche. But now we call him Ben or Benny. But most of the time we just call him Puppy. So I don't think I could really legitimately come up with my own last name.
So when the dog gets a little bit older, it gets beyond puppy years.
No, it's still Puppy.
Will you look at it and go, man, is that Puppy? Boy, Puppy used to be cute.
No, he's still cute. He's still a little miniature schnauzer. He's still adorable. He's got those eyes that look right into your soul.
Yeah.
He comes up to you and looks at you and like, what did I do to you?
Yeah.
But, yeah, as far as your high school time and that and not graduating necessarily, I made it to 12th grade. And when I hit 12th grade, I found other things that I like to do a lot better, which included my then girlfriend. So we spent a lot of time doing that.
No, that's what I was doing in 11th grade.
And we at one point we hadn't been to school, I think, in 2 weeks because we found other things that we like to do. And we the phone rang. This is back when we used to have phones on the wall, and I actually, like a fool, answered the phone, and it was our assistant principal inquiring as to why I wasn't in school today. And they ended up putting us in in-house detention for like 2 weeks afterwards, which was, that's kind of crazy because they're like, you're going to punish somebody by taking them out of class. But my point is that I barely made it through 12th grade. Like all I had like one gym class and art class, and I was out by like 11:30. And but the funny thing about it is I was supposed to graduate in 87. And I had, in 8th grade, I had a bunch of teachers that I really didn't like, and I didn't realize I had dyslexia. So English was always an issue for me. So in 8th grade I was really struggling with it. And social studies I bombed completely. I could have just cared less. And English class, I failed by like literally a half a point. So they gave us the option of going from, summer school to redoing the year. And I, with my inability to think more than 30 minutes ahead of my actions, decided to just redo the entire year. So when it comes down to class reunions and stuff like that, when I get my class reunion thing, I don't always look at the class of 88 as the kids I went to school with, because I went almost the same amount of time with the ones in 87. So subsequently, when I run into them out in public and they say, "Oh, didn't you know so-and-so, or didn't you graduate with so-and-so?" I'm like, "Well, what year did they graduate?" And then I go, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I may or may not have anyway." So I can never keep that straight. Which year or who I knew from which year.
I knew the year I should have graduated, the 84, because that's, George Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
And Van Halen.
Panama,
might as well jump. Yeah, so I don't know. I looked on the list, and I wonder if Donna Lemke's on the list. Because I feel like if Donna Lemke's there, I probably shouldn't go. Whoops. I'm going to look. I'm going to look and see who's on the list.
Maybe we have a list?
There's a list of people that have RSVP'd.
To what?
My high school reunion.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the podcast. I'm like, somebody's listening to this?
Oh, there's people that have certainly listened to this podcast. And please, everyone out there who listens, tell Jack and tell me.
Yeah, because we got families to feed.
32 guests that are attending. Let's see. It's weird. Like, you ever like, man, if any of those guys listen to this, I got to be careful.
I went to my 20th class reunion, and it was not a good time because I was trying to think. Yeah. Yeah,
Donna's on here.
Huh?
Donna's on here.
Oh, great. Well, hopefully they won't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, so let's see. I got 32 guests. Allison Katz. We can't get sued for any of this, can we? I don't remember her at all.
You're the only one giving names. You do that all the time.
I remember this girl just because of her name. And I knew her for years. I actually had a huge crush. Who the heck? Oh, somebody at the door? Oh, Chance of Rain. Thanks, Alexa. And the dogs make their appearance. I had a huge crush on this girl. Her name was Amanda Chu. Amanda Chu? But that's her name. Amanda Chu. Her brother, she had a brother, Josh, who was a great cartoonist. He actually drew a cartoon of
Josh Chu?
Josh Chu. But yeah, so Amanda Chu, she's married to a woman now, though. So it's funny, this is, I guess we can't be politically correct about it. When I found out she was a lesbian, I was all excited because it explained why she would never go on a date with me.
That must be the reason.
Well, I would think it would be part of it. Dang, Jack, you shut that down hard. Andrea Eifert, no clue. Andy Kane, I remember him, super nice guy. Brian Kurlander, he's an actor, nice guy. Beth Lord.
This is riveting podcast material.
It is. All right, I won't go through the rest of it, but Donna's going to be there. Mary Leary. Yeah, I don't know. I liked Mary Leary, too. I liked a lot of girls in high school.
I think this one's going to be scraping the bottom of the old 50
I don't think so.
gallon drum.
People love to talk about my high school reunion. I think it's, we could go back to talking about my insecurity of not wanting to go.
That's what I was going to, you know what you need to do?
Go ahead, talk.
You know what you need to do? You need to get
shit
a
ton
big
of weight.
No, you need to get a big gold suit and own it.
Yeah.
You get a big gold suit and like a huge fedora with a feather in it and just walk in and say, "Here I am, baby."
Yeah. It goes to the whole thing with like the Santa Claus thing. I've embraced the Santa Clausness, and this is an audio podcast, but I'm a fat guy with a white beard. And so people naturally will say Santa Claus. But there are times when it just feels really like insulting. Like I do
the
this.
Santa Claus thing?
When certain people call me Santa Claus. I think it depends on the context.
Because they think they're just getting away with it?
I guess, I if I'm dressed in a Santa suit, obviously I'm saying call me Santa Claus. But if I'm not dressed in a Santa suit, I feel like, and you don't know me, like we're not friends, and you call me Santa Claus, is that an insult or is that just me?
No, in the world that we live in today where people can get upset with you if you just assume their gender, I don't think that's too unrealistic or too irrational of a thing. when you can look at what you assume would be a man or a woman and address them by the wrong pronoun, and you're basically saying something that's I think maybe a little bit more cutting than that, to an extent.
I think I do think it's cutting to a certain extent. Yeah. Like I said, I was doing this murder mystery thing, and I have an acting role in it and everything like that. And like Saturday night when I was doing it, this past one, some guy making some comment like, "Oh, there goes Santa Claus," and I was like, who the heck are you to be saying that? You know what I mean? Like we're not buddies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like your friends can poke at you for things that they know that you're going to.
Well,
be
then
okay
they apologize after the podcast is over too.
I forgot. That's right. Go back to a previous episode where Jack called me fat, but I am fat. I mean, I accept my fatness.
No, I didn't say you were fat.
You said I was pregnant.
No, you said you were pregnant. I just agreed.
I thought you said I was pregnant.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go. This is like one of those things where you need the replay. Yeah.
But I know that'll never happen, so we don't have to worry about it.
It is weird that you can just call somebody fat and it's not as big of a deal as so many other things. Like you said, the gender pronouns have become to the point where it can become a legal issue. Assuming somebody's, sexuality, any of that kind of stuff. We get so offended over certain things, but man, fat is still on the table, baby. You can just say it because it's a weakness, because if you're fat, you're a slob and you're a lesser of a human being. That's the way society looks at you.
And it's interesting because, like, depending on where you are in your stage of life too, because you didn't feel this way obviously when we were back running.
Well, I wasn't fat,
right? But that's what I'm saying. It wasn't if somebody even called you chubby, then you're like, hey, whatever, I'm busting my ass. I'm running all the time, and I do the best I can.
I still felt fat when I was thin, so I read somewhere that where it made sense. They said once you're fat, you're always fat, because then when you become thin, you're still the same fat person that you always were on the inside.
How does that work with ugly?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't know I was ugly until Donna Lemke determined that I was ugly.
She didn't say you're ugly. She just said what happened to him.
When you say that he used to be so cute, you're certainly not saying that I'm still attractive. If I'm not attractive, then I'm ugly.
See, I've got somebody in my life that will constantly rip herself apart and say that she's not attractive, and as so many of us do with our spouses, and or refer to themselves as ugly or pick themselves apart in the way they look. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a more stunning individual in my life. But
are you talking about me, Jack?
You know it, buddy.
Thank you so much.
That's why I suggested the big gold suit, because you're my trophy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What does this have to do with the high school reunion? A lot of stuff. It's... I mean, is a high school reunion? I feel like a high school reunion too is sort of like a bragging contest. The person that won at life.
Here was an interesting one. I think I shared this with you before, but not on the podcast. Maybe via social media, I found a friend that I went to high school with that we used to hang out at, like, the senior year events and stuff like that. So we hung out quite a bit. We didn't go over to each other's houses, but like, we went to the theme park for Skip Friday, senior skip day, and all these different things. I think we rode together to the prom and with the girlfriends and stuff like that. So I came across him on social media. Lives out of state now, and he's a musician, and I like the kind of music he was playing. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool if he ever comes back around. So he came back around, and he was playing locally. So I went to see him, and I'm like, oh, this is really good. He's a good musician. So I went up and I said, hey, how you doing? He says, good. How are you? And I said, good. And I said, it's Jack, or John Burris. And he goes, I'm sorry, who? I'm like, well, we did senior skip day together, and we were hanging out at the prom together, and I think we did one or two other events together. He goes, oh, geez, I'm really sorry. I have no clue. You'd have a clue who I was.
Oh, that's happened to me a couple times.
Not a clue. And I think. Yeah, he was the one that actually had come to him and his then girlfriend had come to my first wedding. The two of them. They even came to my wedding. He had no recollection of it whatsoever.
Wow. Yeah.
So
that's happened to me at least twice. I find that if you don't have Alzheimer's or dementia, and like we had a moment together.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain people I could see, like we know people that, like, if you ask them something about the 70s, they're gonna like, yeah, I don't know, I don't remember that. Yeah, and I had a guy years ago that my parents used to have a boat, and they were really heavy drinkers at the time, and everybody they hung around with was heavy drinkers. So I was in my mid-teens, and I think me and my girlfriend at the time were on this other couple's boat. It was one of the smaller boats, but we were out on the lake, and they're horsing around and stuff like that. So I mean, we knew the couple really well. Well, many years later, I ran across the guy. His wife had passed away, and I ran across him, and I said, "Oh, do you remember me?" Or I said, "Do you remember?" I mentioned my parents' name. He goes, "Oh yeah." I said, "So you remember me?" He goes, "No, not in the slightest." I guess, and he's like, "You don't remember me at all?" He goes, "No." He says, "When was this?" And I gave him the date range. It was like in the mid-'80s. He goes, "Oh, sorry, dude." He says, "I don't remember much from back then, with the drinking and stuff like that, because he was such a heavy drinker."
So here's one I've done, since we're in a confessional mode. I've actually had people come up to me and be like, they'll have conversations where they'll ask me if I remember them, and I'll pretend I did, even though I don't even I got nothing. They'll be like, "Hey, Tom," and I'll be like, "Yo, what's up?" Man, wow, it's been a long time. How long has it been? I'm like, "I'm not sure." They're like, 8 years. Yeah, 8 years, man. Do you remember that Styx concert we went to? Dude, that was incredible.
And then they're like, "I wonder why he ghosted me, because he didn't remember you."
Yeah, but it's funny because I do that because I know how horrible it feels to not be remembered. Are we out of time?
I don't know. I forgot to set the timer.
Oh, you did? Well, I got a timer on the thing here.
We got to be pretty
We're
close.
21 minutes, so we gotta get out.
I figured we're somewhere there around.
We gotta get out of here. We gotta remember that we're not remembering. Anyhow, this was a spirited episode. As they all are. Hey, if you like them, review them. If you're offended by them, please don't be offended.
If you listen to this long, I'm impressed.
You are. If you're related to me, $15. I'm upping it to $16.50. $16.50.
$16.50.
Cash money.
And I'm not doing anything.
Nothing. Yeah, your family's already listened. They're not going to listen to this.
They won't listen anymore.
Right. We got 4 weeks for this week.
Of course, they might listen now to see if I do it again, but I'm going to tell the two of you that were listening, sorry, you're out of luck.
Yeah, out of luck.
Out of luck.
See ya.